Hi everyone, Ryan Jaso, and I'm proud to introduce a personal friend of mine, Josh Wynne of Josh Wynne Construction. A number of you may have seen his work through various sources. He's had millions of views on House through various projects. The one that is the most recent, Mike's Hammock, which was awarded in this magazine here. You've had 6,000 blueprint requests specifically for Mike's Hammock.
Which is counting.
Yeah, sorry, 6,000 and counting. So Josh is everywhere. And even if you're not familiar with his work, he's one of the greenest builders in the industry. A term he hates, by the way. I know he prefers sustainable. But he's one of the greenest builders in the country, if not the planet. He's won various Builder of the Year awards, AIA Builder of the Year. There's a lot of acronyms here that I'm trying to remember. I know AIA. I'll actually cheat and read this one. USGBC, Outstanding Home of the Year. You've won a dozen BLA awards, hundreds of Auroras. I've seen your house. You should have a trophy room for the Auroras that you've won. And you have built two of the most energy efficient homes in the country via HERS Index. So two of the most energy efficient homes. I realize all this may not mean a lot. The whole point I'm getting to is that he's a big deal, and I'm really thankful to have him here. So what I want to talk about are two different things with Josh. The two main topics that we're going to discuss are the processes, philosophies, and lessons along the way that help make you successful. And then B, not only how, but why the audience should seek out a premier home builder in his or her area. So let's start right there. How should the typical contractor or designer approach someone like you? Is there a right time, a right place, a right manner? What are your thoughts on that?
It's tough. Actually, people that want to work for me have a hard time working for me. We do have a guard dog in the office who protects my time. So you're not going to get me on LinkedIn. You're not going to get me on a cold call. And you're not going to get me on an email, really. So the best way to get me typically is either stopping by a job site, believe it or not. Sometimes you can catch me there. I am on my jobs every day, which may not be ordinary for most custom builders, or socially. And that doesn't mean walk over to my dinner table while I'm having dinner with the family, but I do social outings related to the industry. And so those connections are pretty typical. And most people don't get right in with me. I would say the average time that I know somebody before I work with them is years.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that finds that I don't like to fix things if they're not broken, so I tend to work with the same people over and over again until they fail or disappoint me. In which case I need to fill a role. Mm-hmm. And then I draw on those social relationships that I have with other people in the industry to kind of fill that role.
So it certainly can be a time-consuming process working with a custom home builder, and we'll get into that, whether or not it's worth the time, so on and so forth. The next question I want to ask is, what exactly are you looking for? Let's say somebody does fail on your job site. What exactly are you looking for within your subcontractors when you bring in a new one?
I'm looking to be impressed, frankly. My business is built on the idea that we're always trying to raise the bar. We don't ever kind of sit back and relax on our past achievements. Every single project is an opportunity to do something new, do something better. So I'm looking for people in the industry that are breaking the mold. And a lot of times I'll actually reach out to them even if one of my subcontractors hasn't necessarily failed. If they're getting stale, if they're not bringing me something new and exciting and interesting. Our projects are built a lot on innovation, new technologies, new ideas, getting out of the box. So I'm constantly looking for people in the industry that are breaking the mold, doing something unusual, doing something different, and looking to draw on their experience and bring that into my projects and elevate my projects as well.
That's interesting. So it's not the best way to get in with you might not necessarily be contacting you directly. It might just be setting yourself apart in the marketplace so that you stand out.
I'll seek you out if you're doing something great.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that sort of brings me back to the last point that I just made, where we talked about that process of working with a custom home builder, if you are seeking them out, can be long and tedious. But I want to briefly discuss the benefits beyond just monetary and how it might be worth it. Let's say you don't have that reputation just yet, and that home builder is not seeking you out. Maybe what you want to do is take a loss on the first job or two to sort of prove yourself to that custom home builder. Is that something that might be worth it, just from a monetary standpoint, and then from the notoriety standpoint that you get with working with the premier home builder in your area?
Yeah, I think that too many business owners look at profit as the singular source of value to be had from a project. And I think that's a mistake. I think that there's a lot of different ways that we can be compensated for our work on projects. Ultimately, we all need to make a profit. I'm not minimizing that. But really, every single thing we do for our business is an investment in our company and in our future. So in a lot of ways, working for a custom home builder, they're not the easiest projects, and they're relatively fluid, and they take a lot of time, and there's oftentimes a lot of changes when we're dealing with high-end clientele. Sometimes they don't know what they want until they see what they don't want. Those things are all frustrating. It's hard to compensate someone financially for the time that they spend in changes. So everyone knows this that's been in the business for a while. So you have to look at opportunity costs as a form of value when you're working on custom projects. And there are a lot of opportunities to be had. Sometimes the project might be spectacular. You know it's going to be a big award winner. You know it's going to be featured somewhere. Even if you can break even on that project or make a smaller profit than what you would, knocking out a simple little project in some subdivision somewhere, there's big opportunity costs to be had there. Maybe you're going to pick up the photography from that. You'd be associated with a winning project. Maybe it's an opportunity to showcase your work. Maybe it's that opportunity. Maybe you've got an idea on how to break the mold and get out of the industry, and no one's really picking up on it, and maybe that's your opportunity to kind of show what you're made of, show what you can do. Just the opportunity to showcase ideas and not be the one funding that idea is a huge financial opportunity, frankly, and it's an investment in the future of your business. So I think there are a lot of opportunity costs. There's a lot of ways to associate yourself as being maybe ahead of the industry, ahead of your industry, when you work with kind of the cream of the crop in your area.
Yeah, and that's what you mentioned earlier before we started taping, is that if you really want that brand recognition, you better be working with somebody who also has that brand recognition, one or two other guys. And listen, there's only one Josh Wynne. This guy is one of a kind, but there are 2, 3, 4, 5 premier home builders in every area. It doesn't matter where you are, and those guys are the cream of the crop in that area. So what are your thoughts on that?
So, the analogy that I've used is related to, well, this is a simple one, but it's tires. If you want to associate yourself as being the best in your industry, you really need to be working with the best in your industry. Otherwise, no one buys it. And the analogy that I'll use is, let's say, like a Pirelli tire. If Pirelli Tires was claiming to be the best tire in the business, and they were claiming that because you could find them on a Hyundai, you would not quite believe that statement. But if, in fact, every single Lamborghini and Ferrari that rolled off the line featured Pirelli tires, all of a sudden you could look at that and say, that's probably pretty accurate. So you really need to associate yourself with the best in the industry if you're going to consider yourself the best in the industry. You can't be working for KB Homes exclusively and call yourself the best landscape lighting contractor in your area. It doesn't work that way. So it is an opportunity to kind of set yourself apart from your market when you're working with builders who have set themselves apart from their market.
And using that Pirelli tire analogy, even if Pirelli isn't making that much money on Lamborghini or Ferrari, they're still building a brand for themselves and then making money off that So
indeed, so they've kind of set themselves apart, and it gives them an opportunity to put a premium price on their product, and they can point at their relationships with the best in the industry outside of their own as a validation for their expenses. So in other words, when you work with the best, you can pretty much charge the most. That's a simple way of saying it.
That's good. I know these guys want to charge a lot.
Yeah.